Hi, this is Josh with Resort TV 1. Welcome to episode 6 of Thursday Thoughts. So excited to have it twice in a row here. Last week got a lot of great comments from everybody that you wanted me to continue it, and so I'm excited to do so today with a very interesting topic. Today we're going to be talking about vlogging versus live streaming. So that's something that is talked about a lot in the Disney community, and a lot of people have a lot of opinions about it, so I'm going to share some of mine, and then I look forward to seeing some of your opinions in the comments down below. And I tried to respond to as many of those as I could last week, but of course I won't be able to get everyone, but I will respond to several of them, and I'm curious to see what you think about this very fascinating topic in the Disney community. So before we get started, be sure to hit that subscribe button right below the video if you haven't already done so, hit the like button, all those things, and again, like I said, leave me a comment, let me know what your thoughts are on this very interesting topic of discussion. So first of all, let's talk about what is vlogging and what is live streaming, kind of define each one. First of all, vlogging is really defined as a pre-recorded video that is also edited and is posted to be viewed on demand, not live. And so, you can watch it anytime you want. It's pre-recorded. It's not happening at the moment. It's usually edited. Now, some of my relaxing strolls aren't super edited. They're just kind of played right in a row, but I would still consider that. It's probably a little bit different than a vlog, actually. But a vlog is, again, has that editing to it and does not occur live. And so we'll talk about some of the things you can do with the vlog because of that editing. But that's the biggest thing, is that there's editing. It's not occurring in real time. There's no interaction or anything like that other than in the comments afterwards. There's no live interaction. Whereas a live stream, of course, is something that's being streamed right now. There's no editing unless it's after the fact, which most people don't do. And there's no, there's no pre-recorded nature to it at the time. It's live at the time. It can be viewed on demand later in its entirety. So if you stream a 4-hour stream, you can watch it later, but at the time that it was recorded and posted at the same time with no editing, and the person who was streaming was able to interact with the viewers in real time. Now, some live streams on other forms of media, and even like Disney parks and stuff, they don't have the chat turned on sometimes. It depends. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But there's not a lot of interaction with the viewers in some forms of live streaming. But in the Disney live streaming community, and in most gaming live streams, there is real-time interaction with the chat so that viewers can register their opinions in real time to the creator that's making the video. So that's a definition of vlogging and live streaming both. So now let's have a brief history of vlogging and live streaming at Walt Disney World or any of the Disney parks. Vlogging started around 2009, 2010 with people that you might be familiar with, Tim Tracker, Adam the Woo, Justin Scar. There's a few others that were very early in the vlogging process, and there was a few others that started and then didn't continue vlogging. And honestly, I don't remember a lot of the names. I used to watch some of them, but I can't remember a lot of them off the top of my head. So if you remember some more retro or vintage, I don't know if vintage is the right word, but vloggers from the early days, let's just say it that way, then definitely post those in the comments down below. But it started around that time period, 2009, 2010. There may have been a few in 2008, I'm not exactly sure. YouTube itself started in, I believe, like 2004, 2005, sometime around there. So the vlogging started pretty early. And one of the things that was different about vlogging that hadn't been done much before, and not just in Disney, but in vlogging in general, was the selfie cam. Before, when people would make videos, they would do it more documentary style, like either the TV reporter in front of the camera, or there's a voiceover while the camera's showing something interesting. But a lot of times there wasn't just this one person walking around, with the camera, and you're kind of looking at the camera and talking as you walk through a park. So the selfie cam thing was a new thing that came with vlogging, not just in the Disney space, but everywhere. And a lot of these vlogs were basically a day at a park, and they weren't even, a lot of them weren't locals until you came to Tim and Adam were locals at the time. And I believe Justin, some of those guys were, but some of the earlier vlogs, were just people on vacation. And you'd come on vacation and be like, day one vacation, and this is what we did. And these people would film little clips of themselves throughout the day. The vlogs usually weren't that long. And it was just, okay, we're walking down Main Street, we're so excited, and then it cuts, and then it's like, oh, okay, we're in line for a ride, and then it cuts, and we're on a ride, and so on and so forth. And there usually wasn't like a ton of really, really complicated editing in those. It was pretty simple. It was more of just like a home movie, very similar to that. So that was the first, kind of vlogs, again, like a day at a park. And then as it went along, it became more complicated. The editing got more advanced, I guess I would say, more complicated, depending on the style of the vlogger. Others started vlogging, and now there's countless Disney vloggers. There's no way to even count the number of channels there are because new channels pop up every day, and there's a lot of come and go and things like that. But the main vloggers that everybody knows have been doing it for a while, and a lot of them try and change up styles, do challenges, cover new events. Anytime like there's a ride challenge or, four park challenge or things like that to keep it interesting for the viewers. Anytime there's a new thing happening, like today as I'm filming this on Wednesday, the VIP pass holder thing started. So I'm sure people will be vlogging that. And we did a live stream. And so we'll talk about, that in just a minute. But that's basically a brief history of vlogging. It kind of evolved to be pretty complicated at some point. There was like, B-roll that started happening and background music and little interludes, quick edits, where there's like little quick jumps between scenes, and all kinds of other video editing tricks that people have learned along the way. People got bigger and bigger cameras. The Canon G7X Mark II is probably the most famous camera in the vlogging space, and a lot of people still use it today, even though the focus is a little wonky. But a lot of people use just their phones now because the cell phone cameras have gotten so good on both the iPhone and the Samsung or Android cameras that, you can pretty much just use your phone. But back a while ago, the phones still weren't quite as good, and so people would use more advanced point-and-shoot cameras or even mirrorless cameras or DSLRs. And a lot of people still use those DSLR-type cameras. You get a little better low light on the rides, better quality. You get that bokeh effect behind you with the blur of the background and all those kind of things. Plus, you get a wider angle for doing the selfie mode. So that makes it a little bit nicer. But anyway, that's a history of vlogging, and of course we could go on and do a whole episode about that. But it's really interesting how that all started and how it has evolved, and it's still going really, really strong today. And people still think of new and creative ideas for vlogs. Live streaming really has a lot shorter history than vlogging, and the main reason for that is because cell signal wasn't good enough until just the last few years to really maintain a live stream in the parks. With the parks being so crowded and there weren't any cell boosters at the time, so you were just relying on the local area cell towers. They got overloaded pretty quickly no matter what service you were on. I remember still being in the parks, even on a non-holiday day, and it was hard to even get a text message out, let alone a phone call. So live streaming, if you can't get a text message out, this tiny little piece of text, there's no way that there's no way that a live stream would work with the bit rate that's needed to make that happen. Even phone calls have a tiny little bit rate they require, and phone calls weren't working for a while in the parks when we were doing 3G and all that kind of stuff. So it really wasn't until LTE became more available and even more advanced and more boosted that you could do live streaming in the parks. And live streaming in the parks basically started with Periscope. That was one of the first platforms for people to live stream in the parks on. That was happening way before Jenna and I started. They called them, park scopers or things like that, and that happened a lot. It was connected to Twitter somehow. I never really got into that, so I don't know a whole lot about that. Just know people did it. It was vertical form video, very similar to what TikTok video is today, where it's portrait mode, holding the phone in your hand. There were no gimbals at that time, really, for the most part. It was just holding the phone in your hand, walking around, and showing what you were doing. They were usually shorter streams, but some people would go for a longer amount of time as well. And then, fast forward to 2017, that was our first stream on YouTube, was March, I guess it was 19th or 21st sometime. I always forget the date, but at Disney Springs. That was my first stream on YouTube. And I know we weren't the first on YouTube. In fact, it'd be cool to see who was the first. I think I talked to a couple other people that said that they had done one before that just to play around. So it'd be interesting to find where the first live stream on YouTube at Walt Disney World was. But either way, YouTube started bringing out live streaming to people with below, what was it? Actually it was 1,000 subscribers or above. YouTube brought out live streaming to people with 1,000 subscribers or above, and it used to be like 10,000 or 20,000 was the limit. So they had kind of kept backing it down. It was like 100,000, and then it went down, and so on and so forth. I think I had 4,000 subscribers at the time, and Jenna wasn't involved yet, and wasn't a partner to the channel yet, and so I just thought this would be really cool. I was watching and reading on a tech blog talking about YouTube enabling live streaming on their mobile app, and this is just the stock YouTube app live streaming. And I thought it might be cool to show the parks or show around some things live just to see if people would enjoy that. And so I went around and I did some live streams, and I did Disney Springs that same day, and then we did some things at resorts. Steph and I were together, and I believe Liam was with mom and dad at the time. And so we went around to like Old Key West and a couple other places, and just did some really short streams at a couple resorts as well as Disney Springs that first couple days, and got some good response. It was really fun, and I was really surprised when the first comments started coming in the chat. And it was just really fun to interact with people that way. So that was the beginning of live streaming for us. And then fast forward to, the very first live stream at Epcot was my first park stream. We had 100 people watching, which was really amazing. And I thought, boy, there's something to this. But I was still trying to use Wi-Fi at the time and not realizing why did it keep lagging, not realizing I needed to use cellular and that would be better. So anyway, we figured that out later. But, we were just kind of moving on and trying to figure out how it worked. And then our first Magic Kingdom stream was the night Happily Ever After debuted, and a lot of people thought we were the official Disney stream because people just weren't streaming that much at the time. Everybody was still vlogging, and there weren't even that many people doing that back in 2017. So this is May 17th or something, 2017. And that one we got up to 1,000 people, I believe, live at the same time watching. I believe right when we were on TTA was our highest number of viewers. And so kind of cool. I think the first ride that I did stream was TTA, I believe. I don't think I went on any rides at Epcot or anything like that. So that's pretty cool. That my favorite ride is TTA, and that's the one we streamed first, or that's the one I streamed first. Again, no gimbal, no nothing. That's how that worked for us. And we were actually, well, first of all, then Friday Night Live started. Originally it was Saturday Night Live, and then it just turned out that Friday night was better for Steph and I. To make that work, and so we started doing Friday Night Live. Jenna came down, joined us, and we started doing Friday Night Live together. In fact, she was on the first Friday Night Live with me, I believe. That also was at Epcot, June 10th, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So anyway, we were alone live streaming for over a year, well over a year, and then a couple other people started joining on. And, some of our friends started joining on and doing a couple, and still there were only 2 or 3 of us, I think, at the very beginning doing it. And so it was really cool. It was a very, very close, very tight-knit community, and not a lot of viewers. There were times when we would struggle to get 500 viewers watching, or even 300 sometimes if we went in the middle of a day. And that was fine because we enjoyed it, and it was a lot of great interaction. We still used the YouTube app. And then YouTube changed something and made the sound really bad because they wanted it just to focus on the voice of the person and not have any background noise. Well, at Disney, you want the background sound because that's part of the ambiance of the park. So that's when we started discovering we needed to do something different and find another app. So we found some apps and started evolving and changing and growing. More people started adding on to the Disney YouTube live streamer space. A whole communities formed, channels formed based on, from what I've been told, watching us stream and seeing this might be kind of fun. People moved down here to start streaming. It was really crazy explosion of streaming that happened, and just seeing, how fast you could grow on YouTube. YouTube was really pushing streaming in the algorithm, so we were able to grow really, really fast, and others were as well, and still have been able to do so. It's a little bit harder to start now just because there's so many. But definitely we started at the right time. We were very lucky on that. And, it's really amazing what it's been able to grow into. So it's eventually grown to about 47 channels, I think, regularly live streaming on YouTube, according to wdwstreamfinder.com. They keep track of that and see who's active and who's not. If somebody's inactive for a few weeks or a month or something, then they take them off the list. But I think it's about 47 now. And other platforms came on. People stream on Facebook, not as much, Instagram, but the biggest, or the second biggest platform for streaming Disney is TikTok. There's a ton of Disneyland TikTok streamers, and there are a few at Walt Disney World as well. I don't know all of them. I know a few, but TikTok being totally different with the vertical format and a whole different format for chat and all those kind of things, and not saving the videos. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. That can be both a curse and a benefit, depending on how you look at it. So that's, kind of evolving as, starting with Periscope, and Periscope's died away, moving on to YouTube being the main platform for streaming, and then kind of moving over into TikTok being probably the second most popular platform for streaming. So that's a little bit of history of vlogging and live streaming over the years, and kind of where we are right now. All right, so now let's talk about the topic of the video, vlogging versus live streaming. Is one better than the other? Are they the same? Are they different? Are we comparing apples and oranges here? Well, the answer to all those is probably yes and no, to a lot of those things. But let's get into the little bit more detail and a little bit more of the nitty gritty on this. First of all, I believe that both forms of media, both vlogging and live streaming, will continue to be created and continue to be available. None of them are going away. Short form content like TikTok and things have gotten, even YouTube Shorts and Instagram Reels, they've gotten really popular just because of how quick you can scroll through there and kind of short attention span and all that kind of stuff. People still want content with more substance, and the long form videos are going to continue to be popular throughout the years. And there were some predictions a while ago that live streaming was the future and that everything, the vlogs were going to go away. And here we are 6 years into the live streaming, now in 2023, and vlogs are still going very strong. There's still a lot of very, very popular vloggers getting, hundreds of thousands of views on their videos. So definitely vlogging is not going anywhere. Each form of content has its advantages and disadvantages. So let's go over a couple of those. First of all, vlogging allows longer events and entire days to be compressed into 15 to 30-minute videos, with the less exciting parts edited out. It's a plus for vlogs, especially ride challenges and things where long queue times can be cut out. So you're not just standing there in the queue just like looking around at the same wall for 10 minutes if the ride stops, or even 20 minutes if the line stops for some reason. You can cut all that out and make it much more engaging for people to watch. And you can cut out anything that's boring. For dinners, you can be like, here's our food. It's really awesome. Let's try a bite. That's really good. Okay, we're going to finish eating, and here we go, and then cut to the next scene. So there is a lot to be said about that for vlogging. That is probably a point for vlogging. With live streaming, long queue times, can be an issue. It's hard to know what to stream in some queues due to tight spacing. You've had issues before with people not wanting to be filmed in a queue, which we totally understand, but it's really hard to find a place to point the camera except for straight up at the ceiling sometimes, or whatever, so that nobody else is in the shot. Usually if you're just walking down the street, nobody's really that concerned about it. But if you're constantly focused on one person, I know it can get uncomfortable for people, and we certainly try to avoid that. It's obviously impossible to be perfect, but that is a problem with live streaming. Where vlogging, you just turn the camera off and move on with your life and come on when something interesting happens. So that's definitely a point for vlogging. And something that makes vlogging probably a little bit better in that regard. However, vlogging also offers much less interaction because, yes, of course, vloggers, you post your vlog and you can respond to a few comments in the hours afterwards, or some people are really good about replying to, a good percentage of the comments. You can't ever get all of them, but when you're starting out and there aren't as many comments, you can get a good majority of them. But still, thousands of people watch a video and you might be able to respond to 50 comments, maybe 100 if you really work at it. But, a lot of people probably get 50 or less. And so that's not a lot of interaction. Is say you get 100,000 views on a video and you respond to 20 or 30, maybe 50 comments. That's not a great, total of interaction on there. And so you don't really get to see everybody's ideas and thoughts on things. You definitely don't get to see them in real time. So sometimes you don't even know what part of the video that they're talking about if there's no timestamp. So that is definitely something that is a negative for vlogging, is that interaction is not there in real time like it is on live streaming. And of course, like I mentioned, live streaming, on the other hand, offers the real-time interaction and feedback. And what's really cool about streaming sometimes is that streams can be totally changed based on viewer feedback. It's like, we all want to go ride this, so then we go ride this. Or one person asks, hey, can we do this? And the streamer's like, yeah, that sounds like fun, let's go do it. So the whole video is changed based on a live comment. Or maybe one viewer posts a comment that sparks an entire discussion in the chat and changes the whole direction of the video. So in that way, I think live streaming is really, really cool because you, as a viewer, you feel like you're part of the show. And there's no other media format where you can actually turn it on and be part of the show. Even if you're not physically in there, your voice isn't in there, your image isn't in there, but your comment is in there, and the streamer read the comment, and now you're part of the video forever and ever. And that's really, really cool. And something that's not possible in any other format, like I said. So I think that's a huge, huge, huge benefit for live streaming and why it's so popular with a lot of people. Also, there's an appeal to seeing the parks now. Because vlogs sometimes, a lot of times they go up the next day if people have time to edit them, but sometimes it can take weeks. If people, maybe had a long trip and they had several vlogs, it might take several weeks for vlogs to come up. And then you're like, okay, well, I don't know, what day this was, or even if they tell you, well, that's not how the parks look now. So there's that appeal to seeing the parks right now, to seeing the interaction right now. Oh, you see this, like the other day we saw the Liberty Bell riverboat get evacuated. Oh, wow, that's happening right now. It's like live breaking news kind of thing. But also, again, just seeing the parks as they are. Oh, the crowds don't look bad. Today is this day. We might go on that day because it doesn't look as crowded. There's that kind of trip planning stuff too. And the other thing I mentioned too is, again, more interaction, hundreds of comments, if not thousands. If you have a long stream, maybe not thousands, but up to 1,000, could be read and responded to, depending on how engaged the streamer is with the chat. You can really respond to a lot of comments and make a lot of people feel very welcome and heard in the video. Even just having people type out what city they're from or what country they're from and reading that out can help people feel like they're part of the video. So that's definitely a couple points probably for live streaming. That's something that vlogging can't really offer. And the other thing in live streaming, polls can be created to get viewer feedback and viewer opinions on things, or even like, where do you want to watch fireworks? Which ride do you want to ride next? And, obviously that gets cumbersome to do it too much, but you can do like a viewer's choice stream and things like that. And then the viewers are really deciding the whole direction of the video, which is really, really cool. Now, another issue that comes up and is discussed a lot is that both live streams and vlogs can get a little bit monotonous. It's like, oh, it's the same thing over and over again. Oh, look, there's a new cupcake. Oh, there's a new, pair of ears or whatever. And it can get monotonous to the viewer. And that's why people probably tune on and off sometimes. And they'll watch the videos sometimes and then they'll go a little while without watching. So I totally get that, and certainly I go on and off on certain YouTubers and things like that. So I totally understand that part of it. But, the thing about a stream that gives it a little bit of an edge is that it's always going to have different chat comments. It's always going to have different people in the chat saying different things. And so the streamer gets to respond to those either by doing something different, like literally shifting directions and going to a different place in the park or a different ride or a different food area or whatever, watching a different parade or a different fireworks angle. That can be changed on the fly. So that kind of helps with the monotony a little bit. Or even just spawning a discussion that, maybe the streamer wasn't even planning on. So that is something that is really, really a point for live streams where maybe it doesn't get as monotonous because, there is that variable of the chat comments being different every time. However, having said that, the other part of a live stream that can get monotonous is long wait times in the queues. Maybe if the streamer needs to eat and whether the person points at themselves or points out at the scenery. That's, half hour, 45 minutes, or, depending on how fast you eat, that can get monotonous for people if the stream's not moving, or maybe some people just enjoy the interaction with the chat too. Again, and this is not a criticism of anybody streaming. Everybody does their own thing. We all have to sit and eat sometimes. And I think it's great, to do these snacking chats and stuff like that we all do. But it can, it's something in a vlog that can be cut out. So that's a benefit of a vlog where you show the food, cut it off and things like that. Or show the queue, a little bit, cut it off, and then that monotony part of it is gone. But at the same time, the stream does feel more like a real day in the park. It's like, oh, wow, I really had to wait in line. And then there's this sense of accomplishment that you waited in line and watched the queue. It's kind of a little bit satisfying just to see yourself get to the end of a queue that you didn't have to stand and wait through. You didn't have to get jostled around in the crowd. So there's that as well. And the other thing, though, is that would be a point for vlogs, is that vlogs are nice to watch when you want to get the entire story, but you only have a limited amount of time. So say you only have 15 minutes, you only have 20 minutes. Oh, here's a 15-minute vlog. That's perfect. I've got 15 minutes right now. I can really pay attention to this vlog for 15 minutes. And you can hold somebody's attention for that long, especially if it jumps from scene to scene to scene. So you have somebody really engaged and paying attention to the vlog for the entire time. Live streams usually are multiple hours long, and so, some people are engaged in the live stream for those multiple hours, excluding restroom breaks and maybe breaks for food and things like that, but some people are engaged in the stream for that long, but some people just put it on in the background and might not be actively engaged in watching the whole time. So that's probably a point to vlogs, is that you can spend a lesser amount of time and still feel like you watched an entire story, watched an entire episode of something. Even if it's 30 minutes, you could say, hey, that's a regular TV show length. I can watch a 30-minute vlog and I can feel like I completed something. I got to the end of it. I got the point that the vlogger was trying to portray there. So I think that's really nice about vlogs. But then something nice about streams is that if you want something that's on for longer, in the background, while you work, or even if some people say they put it on for their pets while they're gone to keep them calm throughout the day, whatever it is, it's also really nice to have streams on in the background, even if you mute it and you just have this constant image of somebody walking through the park. If you don't want the sound on or can't have the sound on because you need to concentrate or focus, whatever. So the streams are really nice for that part of it, that you get kind of a window into the parks and you'd be like, wow, that's what Magic Kingdom, that's what Epcot, that's what whatever park looks like right now. So that's something that a vlog can't deliver, and can't deliver that all day content. You could put a playlist of vlogs on, but it's going to switch so much that it's harder to convince yourself that you're in the park right now. And I think that's the appeal of live streams about that one. So in my mind, of course, live streams are winning a little bit, but some people may like vlogs better too. And like I said, there's a lot of appealing options about vlogs as well. So let's talk about difficulty level. Now, in my opinion, this might be controversial, and definitely, respond in the chat, or sorry, not in the chat. See, this is in the stream. This is the vlog. Respond in the comments if you agree or disagree here. I think streaming is way, way more difficult than vlogging, and I've done both. But I think streaming is way more difficult than vlogging. Here's why. First of all, the tech issues, lag, signal, cell phone, equipment, gimbals, batteries, all those things. Yes, of course, you have to have camera that works for vlogging, but if you're just going to shoot a 15 to 30 minute video, you can do that on your phone without a spare battery. And yeah, if you're going to be in the park all day, maybe you want your battery just to give your phone a quick boost, but you can keep it in your pocket or your backpack, and very little equipment required for vlogging. You can literally have a phone and plug it into a battery whenever. So that's pretty simple. There's no worried about lag. Oh, does this ride lag? Does that ride lag? Do I have to change the bit rate? Which connection should I use? Should I use Wi-Fi or cellular? All those things you have to learn when you're learning to stream. And when do I change to Wi-Fi? And when do I change to cellular? And all those things. What do I put the bit rate on if I have that option? Most people don't have that option. We're lucky to have it. But for vlogging, it's just like, I'm going to film this part and I'm going to shut it off. So to me, that's a lot easier. And now there's difficulties of vlogging that we'll get to in a bit later. Keeping up with the chat while you're walking around, trying not to run into people, trying not to trip on things. That's a huge challenge for live streaming. And then also keeping the chat engaged and entertained. Because, you can get people watching, and YouTube does always push live streams. If they click on a live stream and the streamer, sounds tired, disengaged, ignoring the chat, maybe in a bad mood. Obviously, I've been in that place before, and several of us have. Then they're not going to stay on the stream very long. So you got to entertain the viewers for hours and be engaging with the chat and with the viewers at all times. The other part about streaming that's really more difficult than vlogging is you got to deal with anything that happens live with no editing and no ability to edit. If you say something wrong, if you get upset about something, if you have somebody in the parks get upset with you, heaven forbid if you get in an argument with somebody in the parks, whatever it is, somebody tells you this or that, like it happens. And it's happened to us several times during different streams. We try not to have it happen, but, sometimes, we're having an off day, like a couple weeks ago, Jen and I got, in an argument, and obviously it was fine, but, that stuff happens. In a vlog, you would just say, turn the camera off, cut that part out. And it's pretty simple and there's no problem. But when you're on a stream, you really have to think about those things and try and, keep up with it. It's like having a 6-hour-long television show or a newscast that, that there's no editing. And so, it's really something that's more difficult, where you have to deal with issues that come up, whether it be the tech's not working, it's super hot, all the rides are down, it's pouring down rain, it's storming, you're not feeling well, and so maybe you have to end the stream, and that's totally fine. People have to do that sometimes. With vlogging, you could just stop the video, come back when you feel better, and nobody would ever know that you even took a day break. You could tell them, but you wouldn't have to, with vlogging, with editing and things like that. So with streaming, it's totally different. You got to deal with all the issues as they come live and in person with no ability to edit anything. So that's why I think in overall streaming is more difficult than vlogging. However, vlogging can be difficult also due to the editing that's needed. And, I'm not the world's best editor. Certainly if I work hard at it, I can do some edits and I can do some things. I've done some documentary style videos that I thought were okay or were well edited, and, it takes hours. I don't personally enjoy that part of it as much as some people do. Some people are fantastic editors of vlogs, and I always watch these and go, wow, that's really cool. I'm really impressed by what that person did there, or whatever else, that transition, that B-roll, whatever. So that's the difficulty of vlogging, I think, and also trying to tell a story and being engaged through that. And then sometimes, you realize you made a mistake, and then you have to try and edit around it. So that can be difficult too. If you said something wrong, now you got to put a caption up in the video. And I don't mean wrong like inappropriate. I just mean like if you said, something cost a certain amount of money, but it was really different. Or if you said you need to go through the line this way, but really you were wrong, then you got to put that caption in there, to tell people what the right answer is. We've all done that before on vlogs. So the editing for vlogging can definitely be difficult. And just thinking of topics for vlogs as well, and thinking of ways, titles and ways to keep people engaged. The title of a vlog is way more important than the title of a stream. Titles for streams are fun, and you can be creative, and you can have certain goals and topics for those, but the title of a vlog is way more important as to whether people are going to click on that or not. Thumbnails are important for both, I think. And live streaming, really is not just pushing a button and going live. They're planned a lot of times, and you kind of, see what happens. Of course, you have to change, you have to be flexible, just like a normal Disney day. But anybody who thinks vlogging is just pushing a button and going probably hasn't ever done it before, or hasn't ever done it seriously. Because after a while, you're like, okay, I can't just do the same thing. I'm going to plan this, and I'm going to try this different twist, and I want to see if this works this time, and this ride, or this, combination of things. We're going to do this challenge. So trying to keep it interesting. Vlogs, of course, are the same way, but live stream a little more planning because you are live. And vlogs can change throughout the day. They're not based on feedback, from viewers, unless it's been from a previous video. Sometimes people do it on like social media, whether it be Instagram or Facebook or whatever. You can have, the viewers control your day, but it's not as interactive and real time as what a live stream is. Another difficulty about vlogging is it's a lot harder to get noticed on YouTube because there are so many vloggers, and YouTube doesn't recommend the vlogs as strongly as they do the live streams. Live streams are pushed more because let's face it, live streams probably make YouTube more money too. What with super chats and with more ad revenue and more time for them to insert ads and things like that. So YouTube has an interest to probably push live streams more. With that, and a lot of people may or may not know YouTube does get a hefty percentage of the super chats. They get 30% or 45% depending on what platform you put it on. So anyway, that's neither here nor there, but YouTube definitely pushes the live streams more, and they're pushing the shorts more too because they're trying to keep up with TikTok. But again, that's neither here nor there. But it is harder to get noticed when you are vlogging, and so that's a challenging part about vlogging, I think. And as far as streaming, it's easier to get noticed, but you have to be engaging or people won't continue to watch, as I mentioned earlier. So in summary, both forms are going to continue to be around. They both serve a purpose and an audience. You see I'm looking over here. I'm going to have notes because I wanted to make sure I didn't forget anything and had a coherent point that I was making on this podcast style video that we have here. They each have different goals. The live stream goal is to really engage with the viewers, interact with the viewers, be a real-time portal to the parks. The vlog is more of like a summary of things, and so it's meant to be quick hits on different things. And here's a little bit of this ride and a little bit of that ride and a little bit of that ride. Speaking of which, something I didn't mention is a benefit of vlogging is that you can cut out copyrighted material more easily, so your ad revenue should stay better on those. So that's good for vloggers, that they can earn more revenue on their videos because you've got the ads enabled. There's no copyright claims. Live streams almost always get copyright claimed 100% of the time, pretty much. There's very rare cases when you don't run into a copyright claim on a live stream, because pretty much every ride audio, every fireworks show, background music, a lot of it now is from a certain album or something. So all those things get copyright claimed, and then so then the ad revenue is lost, and so that is something that makes it a little bit more difficult about live streaming. So something to think about there as well. Now, having said all that, I prefer streaming because I enjoy the live interaction and the challenge of making it work. As you know, I like all the tech talk. I like trying to make the tech work, make the quality good, see the viewer response. If I'm enjoying a show, I want to see what the response is right now. So as a streamer, that's cool for me. Like last night on Tuesday, Tranquil Tuesday, and again, you're watching this on Thursday, but on Tranquil Tuesday, we had Epcot to ourselves watching the Beacon of Magic show there in the plaza, and that was really, really cool to see, and just see all the interactions of people that said they were getting emotional, they remembered the songs, and that's something that you can see comments on a vlog later, but I love those real-time interactions. Having said that, I do like vlogging still for some things. I like vlog strolls, relaxing strolls, edited hotel videos, little documentary style things, how to use Genie Plus, some of those things that we've done throughout the years. Jenna likes to do dining reviews and does a great job with those. And a lot of times those are better on a vlog, because if you want to watch a dining review, you want to get in like 20 or 30 minutes or even less. What's the restaurant like? What's the food? What's it look like? What does the person think of it? So all those things are better on a vlog, I think. And so there's a lot of editing that can be done and things like that. So, like I said, it's just there's a lot of pros and cons to both of them. And that's why I think they'll both be around, because they both serve a different purpose. It's almost like saying, which is going to be around for a while, which is more useful, a car or a bus? Well, they both have different purposes, right? A car is compact. It gets you where you want to go. It's easy to park. It's easier to move around. It's more fuel efficient. A bus, is great if you have a lot of people and need to move a large group of people somewhere. It's not so great at parking, and it's not so great at fuel efficiency. So those are the kind of things that, it's not like buses are not going away. You're always going to need to move groups of people, whether it be schools or, in cities or, whatever else. But they both serve a purpose, just like vlogs and live streams. So I don't know where that analogy just popped into my head just now, but I think that's a pretty good analogy for why vlogs and live streams will continue to be around. And shorts as well. I don't think shorts are going anywhere either, because that serves a need as well for people that just want to go flip, flip, flip. You got the phone and you're just swiping up, swiping up, swiping up the whole time, because maybe your brain is restless. Having said that, I'm not sure that that's good. I think it makes attention spans worse. And even when I flip through, whether it be TikTok or Instagram Reels or YouTube Shorts, I find myself just mindlessly flipping. And so I think, the long form content is probably better for people's mental states than the constant flip, 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 flip. I think it's better if people can concentrate on one thing for a longer amount of time. So that's just my personal opinion. I think that shorts can be fun, and certainly, by the way, shorts are difficult because you've got to tell a whole story in a very short amount of time, and not a whole story, but you have to make one point in a short amount of time and get people to actually watch and engage with that video in 15 seconds or less, or 60 seconds or less. It's hard to do. So having said all that, 36 minutes later, what are your thoughts on all of these things that I've discussed? We've gone over several different points of why live streams are good and why vlogs are good and why one's better than the other or one's harder than the other, all these things. What do you think? I want to see in the comments down below what your thoughts are on vlogs and live streaming. Have you ever thought about vlogging or live streaming yourself? Why or why not? Have you ever thought about, doing vlogs when you're on vacation next time? Or would you rather just enjoy it and not have, your face in the camera all the time? That's another benefit. I've heard some people say, boy, I'm glad you guys vlog and live stream, because then when I come, I can just enjoy. And then when I go back home, then I'll watch your vlogs and live streams. Or some people do it just for the family. You say, okay, I'm just going to do an old-fashioned family movie or old-fashioned family vlog. Not going to post it, just going to, or maybe, post it privately for just you and your family, or however you want to do it. But yeah, so let me know what your thoughts are on that, and on family movies and on family vlogs and those kind of things. And also, just let me know your thoughts about anything else that's going on in the Disney community, in the Disney space now. And what would you like me to cover for next Thursday Thoughts video, next Thursday's Thursday Thoughts video, whatever you want to say. Let me know what you want me to cover for next time. I hope you enjoy these. I don't do a lot of editing on it other than just cutting out parts where I might need to cough or something like that. I really just want this to be very, very genuine stream of consciousness. Well, not stream of consciousness, but just, my thoughts at the moment, kind of following an outline here to try and keep it organized. And so I hope you're enjoying that. A lot of people said they liked that I didn't put graphics and stuff on the screen because they would be inclined to look at them. So hopefully you can listen to this in the car and not have to worry about, you're not missing anything, because I'm not really doing anything other than gesturing every once in a while, and stuff like that. So let me know what you think about that in this format, or would you like to see some B-roll sometimes? Let me know in the comments again on that. And before we go, I do want to thank our awesome sponsors, Mickey Blog and MickeyTravels.com, for the best and free Disney vacation planning advice. Go check out Mickey Blog and MickeyTravels.com to book your next trip to Walt Disney World. Also, be sure to check out ResortTV1Homes.com, brokered by eXp Realty. If you want to find your dream home here in Central Florida, go to ResortTV1Homes.com, fill out the contact form. One of our expert realtors will get in contact with you as soon as possible. ResortTV1Homes.com. And finally, David's DVC Rentals. If you want to rent a DVC room for a fraction of the cost, check out David's DVC Rentals at dvcrequest.com/TV. You can also sell your extra DVC points on there if you need to do that. So that's David's DVC Rentals. Go check them out. So that's all for now. Again, leave that comment, leave a like, let me know what you think, and we'll see you in the next one. So for now, have a great, big, beautiful tomorrow. Bye-bye. Now that you've finished watching this video, be sure that you're subscribed so that you can get all of the latest updates. Also, check out some other great videos on our channel. Have a great, big, beautiful tomorrow. Bye-bye.